this is another instance where the white supremacist movement, the so-called alt-right movement, is trying to gain more attention for themselves, trying to gain more publicity for themselves. I think perhaps they're trying to show that they can hold a rally that doesn't end in the death or the murder of somebody who's on the opposing side. That's the level they established last year. Perhaps they're trying to show that they can do something this year that doesn't end up in that kind of a tragic result. But I think it's very important to see that they are met in the streets by counter-protesters who demonstrate that not just African Americans, but that white Americans and Americans of all backgrounds are standing up to reject this kind of hate. And that's not mince words here. There's no question. As you said, this was a white supremacist rally. This is not a rally of conservatives or a rally of people who are concerned about immigration. These are people who want a country in the United States that is as white as possible, one that favors the white race, that favors whiteness, that privileges white Christians. There is no question what these people are about.
Now, on Saturday, President Trump came out on Twitter to say that he deplores all forms of racism and violence. That's a rather different Donald Trump from the one that we saw a year ago in the aftermath of the unrest in Charlottesville.
Yes, it is. I would say, however, that that's a bit of a low bar to clear. Last year, as you know, he talked about how there were fine people on both sides of a protest in which one side was made up of neo-Nazis and the other side was made up of people protesting neo-Nazis. So this year he's come out on the eve of a white supremacist rally and he says, well, he condemns racism on all sides. That's better than he did last year. But what you notice, what he did not do was say, there's a white supremacist rally tomorrow and I condemn white supremacists. He said, oh, I condemn all kinds of racism. That's better, but frankly, that's still not good enough. And what it tells me is that he is still unwilling to do what it takes to make it clear that not only does he, to make it clear that he rejects the support of white supremacists. He's still toying with them. He's still dancing with them. He's still not fully rejecting them in the way that a President Obama would have done, or even that a President George W. Bush would have done, without question. It's not about liberal or conservative here. Donald Trump trades in the currency of white identity politics. And today's statement was as far as he was willing to go, but frankly, it wasn't far enough.
Now, historically speaking, how, in your view, will the events in Charlottesville be remembered in the future? Will it be a watershed moment?
I think it's one of many moments, but it will be a central moment in the history of the Trump presidency, because it is an instance where Donald Trump had the opportunity, not just the opportunity, but really the responsibility to condemn something that should be obvious in terms of needing a condemnation, and that is race-based violence in the United States. And he failed that test last year. He just had another chance at it in his tweet yesterday. He failed again. Maybe he didn't fail by as big a margin, but he still failed. And I don't think he'll ever be able to erase that stain from the record of history. So it's going to be that the events of last year and the death of Heather Heyer are going to be connected for all time with Donald Trump's reaction to those events and his connection to white identity politics, white nationalism, and white supremacy.